So what is CERN? We've all heard it.
Right.
We've all heard those are the guys who caused the Mandela effect and they created a particle accelerator and a collider. None of us know what any of that means.
Right. That's why I wanted to talk about
What
it.
is CERN? First of all, what does it stand for?
It's in another language. It's the European Council for Nuclear Research. So the letters are out of order because it's in a different language.
Yeah.
But that's what it stands for. And what they do is, so they have the largest particle accelerator in the world.
Wild.
It sits on the border of Switzerland and France, and it's 27 kilometers long. Think about that.
Yeah. So what is a particle accelerator?
What
It
is
accelerates
a particle
particles?
accelerator? Yeah, exactly. So they use electromagnetism to speed up particles at just below the speed of light. We're talking 99.99% the speed of light.
Jeez
and they get
Louise.
these things going, and then they collide particles together. And what does this do? This is a way to create new elements. It's a way to explore what the world was, or what the universe was like after the Big Bang, because that's what happened, was particles smashing together and then expanding out. And they've made some interesting discoveries. Because we're in America, 27 kilometers is 16 miles. So that's how long this thing is.
Yeah, we don't know what kilometers
I was going to
means.
say, nobody's, there's a few people out there that are like, wait, kilometers?
Yeah.
So 16 miles long. It's just under 17 miles.
Okay. 17 miles long.
Think about that. Yeah, so let that sink in for a second. We are taking particles and we're at the speed of light, just under the speed of light, letting them spin around a 17-mile long ring and holding it together with electromagnets to make sure they don't, and so that we can focus them into a beam.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When I think of CERN, I think of the beginning of Angels and Demons. You know how they created the God particle?
So the
I
God
picture
particle, that is their big discovery. That came from CERN. Yeah, that is their claim to fame, if you will.
Oh, really?
Which we didn't.
Was that
have
CERN in the movie?
I don't remember this
It might have
part.
been. Beginning of Angels
I
and
didn't
Demons.
remember
bro.
that was the weapon, and
Yeah.
and kind of looking back now,
That's the genius of that
that's
movie.
Weird. I know, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Science versus religion,
Exactly.
and
the Illuminati, who were scientists,
using light to destroy the church. Yes.
in a scientific manner.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Using something that is called the God,
God particle, which is almost blasphemous. It's
I
genius.
heard a science joke about this, right?
Oh god, here we go.
Applause, please, because I'm sure everyone loved that. So what I thought would be cool, because all of this sounds like technical jargon. Where have we seen particle accelerators in pop culture? How can we relate to what they're really doing at CERN using movies and pop culture references? Something we do on this show. Go ahead.
Angels and Demons?
No, we're not going to do that one. I hate that one. It's over. We're never talking about it again.
Yeah, it's fine.
I got my first example.
Let's go.
Ghostbusters. So Ghostbusters, how do they catch ghosts? They use a little something called a proton pack.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
let's pull that up. So that little round thing on the bottom of the proton pack, that is a particle accelerator, that ring. They're using protons and they're speeding them up in the little pack there, and then they're focusing them into a beam. And what are ghosts made of? We don't know in the movie, they never say, but they're obviously made up of some sort of field that can be captured. The first particle accelerators, they were called cyclotrons, and those were invented in the 20s.
Coolest name?
It's like coolest name ever.
Yeah.
Yep, and it would just, in a
Cycle.
spinning motion on like going outward, it would use magnets to keep particles spinning around, and that's how they would study particles. How did they defeat Gozer? At the end, the big idea is, guys, let's cross the streams. And when they say total protonic reversal, what they're basically going to do, like GL said, is create a mini black hole by crossing the streams, right? So if you get enough energy out of something very light, like protons, you can create a black hole for a split second. And they don't know how long it'll last, how big it'll be.
That's the fear.
But exactly.
Okay.
So everything could be wiped out. So what else can a particle accelerator do? It can create elements. So what they do is they'll smash together heavy particles to create new elements. Yeah. And that's how Bob Lazar's element 115 was created in a lab a few years ago and verified as to be a real particle, a real element, I mean. Basically.
Yeah, no. So if you're referencing pop culture.
Yep. And we're talking about
creating an element.
Creating new elements. Where have we seen that?
I think I know where you're going with this. Anthony Mother
So if you remember, he was dying in Iron Man 2 of palladium poisoning. So the arc reactor on his chest that kept him alive, kept the shards. It was a big electromagnet is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And it was keeping the shards from going into his heart.
Yeah.
Well, that thing was running on palladium. And you see when he makes it, the original one, it's that little bit of palladium that they pour out. Remember, they only had a certain amount of it. And so the cores, when he started making the new ones, had these little palladium chips, and they were decaying really fast. Unstable elements can decay quickly. He needed to create a replacement element for palladium. Nothing on the periodic table worked. They ran every simulation, which meant he needed to create a new element. So what does he do? He goes into his workshop and he says, all right, time for a remodel. And he builds a particle accelerator. Here's another pop culture reference. And he does achieve this new element. So what his father would have left him is however many protons, neutrons, electrons, what the makeup of this atom needs to look like.
When he does the
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
That's so dope.
And he would need to know what elements to use in order to synthesize this new element. So, very cool scene. Got it. And just
Congratulations,
like
sir.
some elements, like uranium, it doesn't glow, but when you can make it glow using that stuff. I can't remember.
Radiation.
Radium. Thank you.
Yeah,
So yeah,
radium.
radium glows green. That's why they used it in watches and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that is a glowing element. Whatever he created has its own natural blue glow, which is kind of cool.
Congratulations, sir. You're the shit.
Yeah, and now you don't ever need to replace a core again.
Did he say it already?
How cool is that?
Congratulations, son. You have created a new element.
All right.
So I wanted to give one more example of a guy who actually owns his own particle accelerator, who is very famous for talking about how flying saucers work. And what would this guy's name be?
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar. He has his own particle accelerator in his lab, and he...
Of fucking course he does.
Isn't that sick, dude? As we'll get into, there are some problems here messing with stuff like this. So Lazar has his own accelerator, but if you look at old interviews of Bob Lazar, they ask him, how did the craft fly? And he talks about element 115. Not on our periodic table back then. It is now. We've synthesized an isotope of it that's unstable, but it does exist.
Another piece of proof that he was telling the truth the whole goddamn time.
I think that is a nice piece of proof. But what he said would happen is there was a particle accelerator that sat in the center of this craft, which means we are using technology at CERN that freaking aliens use to fly their spacecraft. That's how cool particle accelerators are. Aliens use them. And he says what they would use instead of protons is the element 115. And when it accelerated in the particle accelerator in the ship, it would create gravity waves, its own gravity. But that's what that little basketball thing was that he was talking about, that where gravity would come off of it.
Yeah.
And the fuel source is 115. It was using element 115 and speeding it up in a particle accelerator in a circle to create gravity waves. And so there is this myth of a fully stable element with no decay.
Okay.
And he said 115 in this particle accelerator had no decay. So it would last for as long as it needed to fly the craft.
I got a few questions. But first, GL said that the Ghostbusters with the women was not good. That's a fact.
I even forgot that one existed.
Oh,
Yeah.
you lucky son of a bitch. And then he's asked, do you think Tesla had a particle accelerator? Maybe like a form of...
Tesla himself? I'm sure he had a cyclotron. Because when he was doing his research, the cyclotron was invented in the 20s. You don't think this guy would want to build his own little cyclotron?
For sure.
Yeah, he had.
Dude, by the way, I actually think I said this on a previous episode because we've talked about everything
We
before.
have literally go through the catalog. Holy crap.
Yeah.
CERN. Let's get into the conspiracy side of this stuff. So we talked about where we've seen.
Man, I
particle
got my
accelerators
disappointed face on. You like the end of Loki season 2?
Yeah.
Him with the green time. It sounds like something I would make up. It really does. It is real.
A ghost, a ghoul, a goblin, a monster, a werewolf.
Went on and wrote in the comments. I was gonna say that came out great.
You're off to a great start.
Yeah. We got some fun stuff planned today. We got some goods.